Welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr. I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you for tuning in to try to figure out some more about your dog. There's something going on today that this is very, very fascinating to me that I wonder how many of y'all this also happens to. But every time I make a video, and especially this last one, I just got bombarded. But every time I make a video and I watch 5 seconds back of it, my YouTube just hits me up with like 20, 30 other videos that are like going completely against what it is that I was just saying. So my last video, when I'm talking about exercise your dog, it's gonna give you a better dog, I got like a flooded, like my YouTube just gave up on like even anything else that I watched and just went straight to dog training. It was showing me video after video after video on how you should never exercise your dog because it's only gonna make things worse. And I just have to question that. Like, what the heck is going on here on the concept of exercising your dog and making your dog worse by doing such a thing? Like, I don't know if majority of people know this, but I wanna say something right now. Dogs are very, very athletic. Dogs are on the move. Dogs are on the go. Dogs are swimming, chewing, running, digging, climbing, breaking. The dogs are doing so much. Dogs are just are on the move, man. They're on the go. They are extremely, extremely athletic animals. Just look at the muscle makeup and the build of these animals and see how just tough they are. Like they are absolutely incredible animals. They are so strong and they are so powerful. They can pull like crazy. They're wild. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to, what a dog is. That we cannot treat these dogs as if they're some sort of like child, where some children be running. They do, they be active. But as far as the say the majority in the alls, not really. You know, and if you're not an athletic person yourself, more likely, it just is what it is. Your kids are also not really athletic. But if you are, then your kids are always pretty much running. That's what I mean. My kids were always primarily just running and doing what it is they do. They just, wow, they the kids that are running around circles at the dang on park. But but that's not what dogs are. Majority of 99% plus dogs are very, very active beings. They're very active. They're on the move. They're on the go. So when you deny access to a dog to be able to have the freedom to be able to move and be able to do what it has to do inside and try to do something like to do human being stuff to it, such as go in your room and read a book, go in your room and play a game, and do things like that to the dog is going to get into an extreme amount of frustration. And you know what's weird? I say frustration as it's a negative, but yet everyone that says to not exercise your dog, they're saying that frustration is a positive thing for the dog. And that's what confuses the heck out of me, because I'm just like, well, why would I want my dog to be in confusion and have to work through this frustration to be able to do anything and be able to say, get its energy out? And when I'm saying all this, it's coming down to the concept of doing like the obedience work. You crate your dog for 23 hours a day. You bring it out when it's extremely just going wild. It's like wild. And then you do this obedience stuff with it. And then you're getting a dog through frustration. You're going through a pound full of treats or double that. You're going through just correction after correction. You're going through just constantly having friction of, no, you didn't do it right, fix yourself, get you right, do it right. And then the dog is finally exhausted out of that frustration and just a lack of understanding like what the heck is really going on. And then you're saying, oh, the dog is good. Now put him back in the crate and just hang out. To me, that just doesn't sound like a dog that I would want. So that's the main thing is when we're listening to what someone has to say about what not to do and what to do, we really need to understand what it is that's going on with their own stuff, with how their things are, and how they're able to manage and have times with their dogs. Because it's something that I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I'm not the only person, but I just noticed that there's just people that just don't have video of their dogs. I don't care about someone else's, but their dog's just doing stuff without it having to be in a specific dialed in like command. That they've got a piece of equipment on it that fixes it every 2 seconds if it's not right. They got a pound of food on them if they're fixing them every second if they're not right. But just doing stuff with a dog that is just real world stuff and not having to like be on edge. And that's one thing that I think a lot more people should, I think, pay more attention to when watching these videos that we're watching. It's watch the, I'm unfortunate that you can't see my body right now because that's what I want to say. I wish I could have a person out here to be able to record so you can see me, what I look like, over even what the dog looks like. I'm so chill, I don't care. I'm not on edge. I'm like, I'm just like, we're good. And we're just hanging out. We're just doing what we're doing. And that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing like a lot of trainers doing. Like we stay focused and look at the dog. Because I get it. We're trying to look at the dog channel to see the dog. But at the end of the day, the dog is is say in its focused position, it's in its heel, it's doing what it's doing. But the owner is so on edge. They are like so stressed, like the dog better not mess up, it better not mess up. And then they're showing you something that's like 10, 15, 20 seconds or even 2 minutes long. And the owner of that dog, the said trainer, is like they're so paranoid. They're so like on edge about making sure that it's gonna be good to go. And that's one thing for me that, I don't know. I seen a thing on my Instagram the other day that kind of really got in my feelings of, I thought we were training the dogs and not like just having to keep doing this for the remainder of the dog's life. I thought the training tools were to like train the dog to do something and then I don't really need it anymore. I thought that was the goal here with said training dogs. And that's why for me, it's always been confusing to me when I would watch or listen to anybody have to say about working with dogs. Because I'm like, you're telling me that, I'm gonna bring it down to something simple that we can all hopefully understand. You're telling me that I'm trying to, I like that guy, Jim Rohn. He always got some funny stuff for me to be able to relate to on real world things. He says, I'm trying to get a hole in the wall. I don't really care how it gets there. I just want it to get there. And the main thing is we're coming in and we're going to go buy a drill. And we buy the drill and we make the hole. And now you're telling me that I got to hold this drill for the rest of the time that I have this hole in my wall? I got to have it with me. I got to hold on to it to make sure that that hole is going to be able to be good to go. Or can I just do the hole and just put the tool away and say, we're good, we're done. Now we can just move on with life. And that's the concept that I don't know why, but we're just not doing with dogs. We're just like, you got to keep up with this for the remainder of the dog's life. That doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. When can we just calm down? When can we just understand that, yes, there's gonna be times that I have to repeat something twice. Oh my goodness, there's gonna be times that I'm not getting, we'll say like that, 100% compliance. That I'm just like, hey, let's do this. And I have to repeat myself or I gotta like put a leash on them to say, hey, no, that's not what I want. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah, there's gonna be little times of that. But as far as the mass majority of just being able to just calm down and realize that you put the work in on your dog and now your dog just understands what it is that we want. When does that time happen? And that's why for me, I'm trying to talk about something that's completely different, clearly based on just my own YouTube that's trying to even attack my own self, saying, hey, buddy, that guy don't know what he's talking about. These other trainers, they got way more people, way more experience, and way more of this, all say the opposite of what you're trying to put out there. And it's fascinating to me because I don't care. I just don't care who I look at. I watch all these people's dogs and the dogs, I don't want to say it like this, but everything's just a hot mess out here, man. Everything's a hot mess. I just don't see people doing some simple stuff, man. Simple things, very simple things. Simple things that just, we should be able to just easily do without having any sort of complications. Simple things, simple stuff. And that's where for me, I'm unfortunately gonna be obviously always bumping heads with everything that's being shoved and being sold to us. Because there's something about these dogs that if you're not exercising them, you're basically going backwards with the understanding of, I'm just straight up like what nature is. Oh, let's leave that alone. That's a little baby rattlesnake right there. The going backwards with nature. We're going completely against it. We're not working in tune with it. We're trying to change something to be something that we want it to be. And that's why we're butting heads, because we want it, but it's not what it is. And I don't care what you want. You're not going to transform the color blue and just make it red just because you stare at it hard enough and it's just going to change. No, we got to do something to be able to make that happen. We have to get up and we have to make something happen to be able to make everything work out. And it's something that, again, it's almost like there's this interesting shift with dog training stuff that we're out here doing what we're doing to make sure that people are basically like hooked and dependent, as opposed to being independent and being free. And that's my main thing that I want to be able to push out to everyone. And the main thing that I don't know if I've even said it, but that's what I'm trying to do, is get people independent and free. You can independently look at your dog and realize what your dog needs without the need of anybody else trying to intervene to tell you what you need to be doing. Because you know what you need to do. You know what you want. But we all need to know the basic fundamentals of how to be able to get to that next step of what we want. And to me, a basic fundamental is something that I do every day with my dogs, and not only just mine, but other people's dogs, and that is the exercise portion. And I start to see, and people are able to now communicate with the dog what it is that you're actually looking for. And when you don't do that, you're going to continuously keep butting heads with that dog, trying to figure out that next technique, that next thing, this next, as opposed to just getting the dog out and doing what the dog needs. The dog needs something. It has a desire for something. It has a purpose for something. It has something inside of it that it absolutely has to do. We are not at the stage of time today yet that these dogs are capable of being able to just, we turn their job off and you're retired. It's language that I used to use that it's somewhat true. You're retired now, you don't need to work anymore, and you're just on said light duty status. And some of us just don't have that dog. We have that dog that it's not ready to retire. It has to work. It has to do something. It has to get something out. And the beauty, but the downfall, because it depends on what side you look at it, the beauty of majority of all these dogs, you do not need to work them 24/7 to give them what they need. And that's where the downfall for me personally is. I need dogs that I want to be able to use and utilize for all day, all the time, go, 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 never taking a break. And so there's limitations. But that's the cool thing about it as far as being a pet dog owner, that your dog doesn't need to go for no walk 80 hours a day or 8 miles a day, every single day, 7 days a week, twice a day even. Your dog doesn't need to do that. Your dog doesn't need anything nowhere near that. And that's something that we need to just really, really quite understand, to realize that it's not really that much that we have to do, but we have to do something. And that's, for some people, it's hard to just, that concept of just get up and do something. If you got a dog that is just, it's just wild in the house, it's jumping up and down, it's just going everywhere. You got a dog that you take it outside and that dog is just wild, man. It's just jumping up and down and going all around. There's no level of correction you're gonna give that dog for that dog to just stop that and stay stopped at that for the remainder of that dog's life. You're gonna suppress that for a little bit. You're gonna shut it down for a period of time. But then that dog is going to get into a situation where it's like, I got to do something, man. And then it's gonna blow through all of that's going on. And this is the concept of the things that I just continuously keep on seeing over and over and over with a whole lot of, if not the mass majority of all the dogs out here, that we correct them and it looks good for a while, especially when you do it to a really, really young dog. A 6 month, 7 month, 5 month, 4 month old dog. We take that dog and we just start laying the leash on that dog. And then that dog looks calm for a little while. And then that dog looks calm for a year, maybe 2 years. But then that dog gets like 3 or 4 years old and it's ready to bite your face off at that moment. I just see this over and over and over again. It's very, very fascinating, because it's like a very interesting social, what do you call it, a social experiment going on right now with a lot of people and your dogs, that you got these dogs at a certain time when we weren't allowed to go out. So the dogs weren't getting any sort of exercise. So a lot of the training was give them treat and give them treat and give them treat and give them treat. We're just suppressing. We're trying to ignore the fact that the dog has something that it absolutely has to deal with, and we're just pushing it off to the side. And then one day, one moment, that dog finally just has a breaking point, that it just, here it is. And that's what I see today. A lot of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old dogs today that are just absolutely savage, because they have never been able to have a simple thing of exercise. And for some reason, that is just not being told and being pushed and being sought out for anyone to do with your dog. It's like you're just told to just do some obedience and the dog is gonna be better. And if that was true, you know, I would just continue to keep doing that. But since it isn't true, and I haven't found any sort of success with it, I have to say to myself that maybe what it is that's going on here is something that I just need to basically stay the heck away from, because it's only making things continue to keep getting worse. Because it's not allowing the dogs to be what they are. Dogs are athletic. Dogs are working animals. They do stuff for us. They make stuff happen for us. They provide things to us. They make our lives. One thing that I really love about some dogs is they make my life easy. They simplify my life. They make my life just be able to calm down and relax. Something as simple as this dog here. He's sitting there, ears up, looking around the corner. I'm like, well, what's coming up? He make my life easier knowing that he got my back. He's watching everything around, making sure that I'm good to go. I don't need to worry. I don't need to stress. And he's gonna let me know if something's going on, if something happening, and I need to change, I need to deviate, I need to whatever. And then at the same time, he got a gangster look to him, that if someone doesn't move, he just looks at him and that person's like, okay, well, let me get out and out of here. Like, he makes my life so easy, just simplifies it. And that's something that is powerful with dogs. But dogs only get to that point, in just my opinion, when we are able to listen to what their needs are and we give them their needs. We don't just shut them down and shut them down and shut them down and shut them down. That's why we need more and more and more pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. Beat on them a little bit more treats, give them some more treats, shove it down them more, give them more toys, and keep buying another toy so they could chew it up to smithereens, and buy another one so they could chew it to smithereens. and just keep watching them keep doing that to the point that it's like the toys are pointless. Now I gotta start doing the furniture and doing this and doing that and going crazy. And then the dog is wild, and then you put the dog in the crate, then the dog breaks out of the crate, and then you gotta buy these new crates and this different crate, and then you just put them in there even longer because now the dog is unmanageable. And then it's a cycle that just keeps going worse and worse to the point that now the trainer gets called in because the dog is biting somebody. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? And then the first thing we do is we go to the balance trainer side of it. We go ahead and put the prong on it, put the e-collar on it, and then we just go ahead and say, okay, now the dog is good to go. And then it works for a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and then it seems like it's just getting worse and worse and worse again. And then it's a cycle that just keeps going on, as opposed to just dealing with the one thing up front that the dog needs: exercise. It just needs that. It requires that. It has to have some sort of exercise, or it's just not going to function. And I can say that exact same thing with us as human beings. We have to have some sort of exercise to be able to function. We have to get up, we have to elevate our heart rate, we have to make things happen. But for some reason, we just don't have it in our brains of doing that for our dogs. And for some reason, there's a whole side of like majority of dog training that states that that's pointless for a dog. And it's confusing to me because it just makes me think, like, do we not understand what dogs are? And I want more people to just understand and look up. That's something that I just wish that more people would pay more attention to. What is a dog? What is a dog? What the heck is a dog? What are dogs here for? Why are dogs with us? What are dogs doing? What are dogs providing for us? What are they messing up with? What is a dog? What is a dog? And when we understand what a dog is, we're going to understand why the dog is here. If we don't understand that simple thing, we're going to agree and think that, yeah, my dog could just play a food interactive game. He's going to be able to get satisfied all day. He could be able to play and do the sits and heels and downstays all day, and he's going to be good to go all day. And that's just not what a dog is. That's called like a human being. That's not a dog. Humans, yes, I can stick my kid in his room and say, go play an Xbox game, and I'll be back in 8 hours. You can't do that to the dog. The dog is going to go absolutely wild. It's going to go crazy. And that's something that is just very misleading, because it's like everything that anyone has to say that I've just come to realize on this planet, that every time that someone has something of value to be able to actually help you out, like to really help you out. And the crazy part is, majority of stuff of value, it don't cost anything. It's a very free information. But it's something that there's always like a million things that say, no, that can't be right. But the ones that have the million things that say, no, that can't be right, they all have something to sell you. And they always say that they can solve your issues if you buy this and if you buy that and you buy this. They all have that. That's like a theme that goes on with, I don't care what industry it is. I used to be deep in paint and painting cabinets. Everyone that had the real good, this is how to do it. You didn't try paint, at least for me, I'm just the same way, I get it. Yeah, I didn't try paint, that guy don't know what he's doing. He's not charging nothing for it. I got to go buy that guy's $4,000 course to figure out how to paint better. And then I realized, like, man, I actually didn't get anywhere. I didn't get any better. And it's just that cycle that just keeps happening. But in every little one of these industries, when there's someone that says, this is how to do it, there's going to be a million people, nope, it's not, it's like this. And then they all have something to sell you. And that's something that, for me, is like a major red flag today on just a basic understanding of why I feel like every time I say anything, that there's like majority of everyone that say, no. But yet they all have something to say, get this $1,000 course right here, and you'll be able to figure it out. And they always have the money back guarantees, but it's always too late, because you're always going to see, this is the thing, you will see success. You will see success. I don't want to do it, but I kind of want to do it just to do a show to show somebody. But I just want to show my Johnny man and see how he is without his leash on. And when I put a leash on that dog, you will see results. Like, I could go grab me a prong collar and put it on that dog, and you will see. I will guarantee you will see this dog turn into something completely different. But the thing is, once you take that thing off, once you give it some more time, that's when the reality starts to kick in. And that's when that thing that was sold to you was, oh, you didn't keep up with it. That's why you're running into issues. And I want to be able to say to you, there's nothing that you need to keep up with other than just giving the dog some exercise, getting the dog up and moving, getting the dog on the go, getting the dog out in the world, for one. Dogs are animals, and animals are out in the world. Dogs need to be able to see the world, be able to experience the world. It's a huge thing that's getting messed up with a lot of dogs, is their initial socialization to the world, to the environment. They're being born in houses. They're not even born outside. They're not even sniffing the air. The doctors are saying to us that we can't take our dogs outside anymore because they're going to get this disease and that disease. So you're not giving the dog its experience of where it's supposed to be. And that's why the dogs are getting to be more and more and more terrified, because they're so worried on, oh, they're gonna get this and they're gonna die from this. And it's like, these are animals, people. Animals sleep, live, do everything outside. They sleep outside, they eat outside, they sit outside in the rain, they just hang outside. And the more and more that we're not giving them all of that, the more and more that we're gonna continue to keep on getting the dogs into a worst case scenario. The dogs need to be out. The dogs need to be on the move. The dogs need to smell everything. The dogs need to experience everything. The dogs need to be able to run everywhere. The dogs need to be able to sniff every single spot that they could possibly sniff. The dogs need to be able to experience all that so that it can finally just calm down. Because if it's never even experienced it, the dog's going to be extremely sporadic and just absolutely wild. That's why I like my shepherd here. He's chill. He's super chill because he's seen all this before, over and over and over. Then I bring my Dalmatian with, and she's just like, oh my goodness, like, this is all so new to me. Like, look, I gotta check this, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, there's people, there's this, there's that. And it's just, she's overwhelmed. And she'll get to the point that she just calms down. And she'll just completely relax. But it's gonna take time to get there. It's not something that I could just slap a collar on her and just say, this is what I want and you better do it. She's gonna look good for a little bit. I'm just gonna guarantee that. They always look good for a little bit. That's just what happens. It's the longevity here. I don't want something right here, right now. I want something long term. And the main thing that I want to explain to as many people as possible, the long term is what you want to focus on, all of what you're doing on. You want to focus on how my dog's going to be year after year after year, not just right now. Because right now, if you get it fixed, right now, it's going to look good. But 2 weeks from now, we're going to run into a new issue that we have it here, we got this there. And that's what I want majority of people to just figure out how to be able to get the heck away from that. And one thing I like doing with my dog out here, I gotta do something real quick to see what he's gonna do. But I like to just disappear. He's already paying attention to me. I like to disappear sometimes just to see what he's about to do. Make sure that my dog is paying attention to me. He's not just out here on his own. And I like to just sneak off into the woods to just play with him a little bit and make sure that we're in tune with each other. But this right here, it didn't come by me putting any sort of equipment on him and constantly trying to force him to be with me, because in reality, he would just be further and further and further away, because he knew that if he got too far away, I'd just give him a buzz on that collar and he would come back, as opposed to just naturally wanting to check in because he just naturally wanted to know who I am, what's going on with me. And that's what he does today. He just hangs out. He hangs close and he's looking out. He's on mission. Why? Because he gets this exercise every single day. And this isn't anything that's wild, anything that's crazy, anything that's super demanding. It's just something super basic for him. And I, again, don't need to do it every single day. I don't need to go somewhere, 50 miles every single day. Like this dude here, he is a little extra. And if you got a dog that has a little extra, it just is what it is. So this dog here, he basically needs 4 days a week of about a 5-mile walk every day. That'll keep him to be just good enough. He's satisfied. And if I did a sniff and search game once or twice in the middle of all that, he'll be extra good, extra satisfied, because that's who he is. He extra. He's not the just more lazy hang out. But for me, that's what I wanted. That's what I needed. And I even realized in the end that this dog isn't capable of doing what I even want to continue to keep on doing. So those are my needs. But I also got my dogs looking for my needs, as opposed to having a dog and then figuring out how to be able to manage this dog, because I don't know how to keep up with it. And that's the unfortunate part, that some of y'all you got to get up. You got to get up. There's no thing that you're going to be able to do. This is something that I'm just gonna say that I've just seen. There's nothing you're going to do inside of your home that's going to get your dog satisfied to be able to be a nice, well-behaved, calm dog. There's just nothing you can do. You can't, unless you have, okay, I'll take that back. Unless you live in like this 20,000 square foot mansion, you got a basketball court inside, you got a full swimming pool inside, and you're allowing your dogs to be able to do sprints and run and do what it do in such a house, okay, you got me. But if you're living in the average house that pretty much everyone has, something that's basically less than and around about a 2,000 square foot house, you are not going to be able to give your dog its needs inside of that home. You have to take it out and do stuff with it. You absolutely have to. That's what's going to be able to give you that dog that's just going to be able to chill out. That's just going to be able to relax. That's going to be able to just look at you and say, hey, okay, cool. You're listening to me. You're talking to me. I'm here to be able to listen to you and talk to you now. So that's the main thing that we should really be focusing on at first. Later on, we can go ahead and start adding more. But at first, we need to make sure that the dog's needs are met. When the dog's needs are met, I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I just keep seeing this and I keep doing this my own self. I see a completely different dog, a dog that is just wildly different. And I'm seeing that even with my just psychopathic looking Dalmatian, that she just hangs out in the house now. She used to, it was the coffee table that got me. This girl would just jump up and down and run in circles all in the living room and just going absolutely wild, just absolutely wild. And in reality, she's young and it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, look at this little girl having fun, but it wasn't healthy. It wasn't her like, I'm actually having fun. No, it's her saying, I got something I gotta do, buddy. Like, you need to help me get this out. You need to help me do this. And then for me, where she came from a place that she would basically play and run with other dogs, well, my dogs don't really do that. So she's trying to play with them and they're just like, no, man, like just go out here and just sniff some stuff, just hang out. So then she's like, oh man, what do I do? And then that was for me to make sure that I can come in and be able to give her what she needs, which is that exercise that she's requiring. And once I started doing that day after day, week after week, month after month, I might have to start making a couple videos in the house just so I'm not just saying something. This girl just hangs out in the house. She's just chill. She's just relaxed. She's just on the couch. She takes a nap. She gets down. She looks at me. I could tell her to get out of the kitchen if I needed to. There's nothing hostile going on. She's just so agreeable. And she for sure wasn't that way when I got her. And that's something that is kind of very interesting to me about a lot of people and even stuff that I used to say about dogs that I'm rethinking now. When you give the dog what it needs, because some people say like, oh, a husky is a hard dog to train. Well, more than likely, it's because you're not giving that dog anything that it needs. That dog has a desire to want to pull for 15, 20, 30, 40 miles twice a week, and you're not giving that dog that. That dog has a desire to have to dig. That dog has a desire to have to do some things, and you're not giving that dog that. If you're not giving a dog what it needs, it's going to be a very, very, very disagreeable dog. But if you give the dog what it's looking for, that dog's going to be the best freaking dog on the planet. It's going to listen to you, and it's going to be amazing. That's why it doesn't really come down to breeds. Different breeds are just going to be, I'm going to say, more challenging at the end of the day because of the demand that they need to be their purpose, what they were designed to do. Certain breeds are just more challenging. And then at the same time, I can say it's not so much as more challenging if you have the dog in that breed and it's set up to be able to make life easy for you. So it's a 2-in-1. So like my Border Collie. If my Border Collie was in anyone's household right now, that dog would have probably bit your face off by now because he wouldn't be getting what he needs. But since he's just living where he's living and doing what he does, is moves his chickens, moves his cows, and does what he does all day, every day, he's a very, very agreeable dog. And that just comes down to each dog, it has a different desire. And each dog is gonna have something that you have to like maybe get out of your comfort zone at first to be able to get them to get into a better place. And that's where I'm going to say it's the challenging thing. A lot of times we just get dog because we see dog and we're like, oh, that's a cool looking dog. And then we get that dog, not realizing what that dog actually needs. And that dog more than likely needs, if you got a dog that your sits and your downs and all those things aren't working, you got a dog that needs to run. And you need to figure out how to set something up to get that dog to run. And I know, especially living here in the United States of America, it's kind of complicated to get your dog into a place that can run when you don't trust your dog because you're like, my dog might run away or might run this and might do that. But if you can find a smaller area at first and get something of some sort of thing that they could chase, and you keep doing that over and over, your dog's going to understand, okay, this is what we're doing. He's not just going to take off and go wild. Like even here, if I had dogs if I had a little car out here and I had a couple dogs that really, really, really had to do that chase, and they were chasing it at the house a few times. I bring it out here, they're gonna chase that car. They're not gonna look at the outside, they're not gonna look at deer, they're not gonna look at anything, they're just gonna chase that car. They're gonna stay on top of that car because they know that that's what we're doing. Kahi, they know that that's what we're doing out here. So when you just keep doing it over and over, it starts to become more reliable. And then the dog starts to just really, for one, appreciate what it is that you're doing and what's going on. And you're not gonna run into that situation that the dog is just gonna take off from you, because it's going to want to do everything to stay next to you because you're giving it everything that it needs. And that's when the beauty starts to happen. That's why for me, I'm not too worried about anything that goes on with my dogs out here because they know what we're doing. They know what's going on. And we're not doing anything that's mean, anything savage, anything crazy. We're just doing the same stuff over and over again. And that allows the dogs to be able to just calm down and relax for one. Being able to see that, being able to know that you are going to provide them with something, that they don't need to try to go figure it out for themselves. That's why most dogs are going to take off and try to chase a deer because they're not getting that opportunity from you. But if you give him that opportunity to run and chase, the dog's going to stop chasing deer because he already is going to get that with you. It's more fun to do it with us rather than them just doing it on their own. And that's something that is, again, challenging for some because you just straight up, you got the wrong dog. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to say more than likely you didn't get the wrong dog. You got the dog that you needed to be able to do something that you need to do, because more than likely it's like, hey, let's get up, let's go do something, let's make something happen. We can't just stay at the house all day anymore. We got to go out, we got to make something happen. And it's just it's something that, in my opinion, it's a beautiful thing what these dogs are able to bring to us. They're able to bring us back into the world as opposed to taking us out of it. And because that's why I know a lot of people are struggling with their dog, because you're trying to, like, I hate to say it like this, but remove yourself from the world too much. Sitting in the home all day, sitting in the bedroom all day, sitting on the couch and in the bed all day, that's not bringing any sort of fulfillment. The fulfillment comes from just being out and being able to go places and do stuff. And it's an incredible experience, especially when you got a dog like a German Shepherd, a Doberman, a Rottweiler, or something like that, that you can feel confident knowing that ain't no one gonna run up on you. That's why it's weird for me to see a lot of young ladies out here walking by themselves. I'm like, man, you need a dog with you. This is some crazy, it's not too dangerous, but there's always that weird thing, man. And I don't want to be caught up in that weird thing going on. And that's just something to be able to just make you feel much more relaxed, to be able to go places and do things. And it's something that is just incredible when you're doing what the dog is requiring, is giving them that exercise. And that exercise is something that's going to be able to just really, really transform your dog. I just want to say thank you. And I got to add in the end of this video something about these. So I've been having issues with eyes with my German Shepherd here. And I never really, like, I was always trying to do my own home remedies and all this own stuff. And his eyes started to, like, I guess the only way I can say it is haze over. And so I take him to the one doctor, and he's talking about this is something that I would, I'm not a doctor, but I just know basis stuff that I was seeing with my dog. And pay attention to this, because they say it's very common in these German Shepherds and any Shepherd type stuff, is they get that pancreas, something like that. But it's something where the start of it is the red of the eyes way on the outside. If the whites of the eyes start to turn red, where it's kind of like bloodshot looking, take your dog to the vet, because they got stuff that really make that stuff actually go away. I'm kind of slightly impressed with seeing how clear his eyes are getting right now. And unfortunately, more likely it might have been hurting him a little bit. And I think that's why we're getting back in tune with each other, because now he's able to, for one, see better. So when he can see better, he's like, oh, what's going on? It's another world, a new world. And so we're working on stuff again, making sure that he doesn't get confused with what's going on. But he's definitely looking much different, much better. And it's something that, if it's very common, and one of my dogs ended up getting it. I know a lot of other people's dogs got it, and it's something that is clearly what I'm seeing so far. And may have to do eye drops for the remainder of his life. It just sucks a little bit, but as long as it's able to help him out, I'm kind of cool with that. And if I would have got it sooner, I wouldn't have been in such I guess a worst case scenario, where I'm kind of almost in a worst case scenario right now with what's going on. But it seems like it's coming back. But take a look at your dogs, study your dogs. And something that was kind of hard at first was giving this dog some eye drops. Like, man, that's hard. They was talking about I got 2 different things to give him 3 times a day. That was like, that's where I'm going to say your dog training comes into action, and what you got working with your dog. Because when your dog is hurt, when your dog is moving around, your dog don't want his nails trimmed, you gotta be able to work your dog through that. And that's where your relationship is really going to be tested. What's going on and what's going to happen next. Because this dog for sure was like extremely scared of these drops going in his eyes. But day after day after day, he's like, oh, actually, it's all right. Because now when he does it, he just sits there, and he literally just sits right between my legs, and I just lift his head up and I just drop it in there. And it's like I don't know, it's a calming thing to him at this moment. He's no longer like extremely scared. He just didn't know. When a dog doesn't know, they're gonna flip out and go absolutely crazy. But when they experience something day after day after day and realize, oh, everything is okay, and at the same time things are getting better, the dog is going to be way more willing to want to continue to keep doing that. Something that I just see all around with everything with these dogs. The more that you do stuff, the more you push them through their fears and allow them to see that it's nothing wrong. The more that you're not trying to give them treats to the fears and give them pressure to the fears, you just let them get through the fears. The more that you're going to see things just get better and better. Thank you.